Stop practicing random stuff every day when you sit down to play guitar. Right now, I'm going to break down exactly what works for me instead of sitting down and trying to figure out what I'm going to practice each time I come to the guitar. My name's Jake, and for the past 16 years, I've been teaching the coolest people on the internet how to play guitar. See, if you don't have a plan for what you're going to do when you practice, you've already lost about 80% of your practice time. I know that seems like a lot, but let me explain. You sit down, you get out your guitar, you start tuning, but maybe you don't have your pedals or amp set up for the tone that you need for the song that you want to play because you don't know what song you want to play. Now we pull up Google or YouTube and we're just kind of searching for songs that we might want to learn, but it's hard to remember what we were super excited about 3 or 4 days ago because we don't quite remember. And so we poke around until we find a song. And then we realize it's kind of gotten a little too hard on this one. And so maybe we switch to something else because we remember, oh man, back last Thursday, I really wanted to learn this other song. And so we're diving into that. But now it's different chords and different techniques and the licks don't feel quite the same. So now we're kind of on a different track and we're working on fingerstyle instead of strumming or improvising instead of learning licks. And the point is we're bouncing around to all these different spots while we're trying to practice instead of focused on one thing in particular. But keeping that focus is really difficult. So today what I want to do is I want to break down the 4 steps that I take to keep my practice organized and most importantly, fun. This has been working for me for the past, 8 years. And it's something I've taught all my students that has got them so much more mileage out of each practice session. Step 1 is you don't want to practice and plan at the same time. We want to separate those things out. So I go so far as to 1 day a week for my practice time, I schedule time to plan what I need to work on. For me these days, that looks like listing out the gigs I have coming up and what songs I need to learn for that, what skills or techniques I might need to learn or brush up on to make sure I'm ready for those, the tones that I'm going to need to build with my pedal board and with my gear. But for you, if you're just starting out, it might be as simple as saying, I'm learning this one song. And reminding yourself like, hey, this is the one that I'm focused on, or these are the 3 that I really want to learn. So setting the time to plan as different from practice means that you're not going to spend your practice time bouncing around. So we want to separate the practice from the plan. We want to separate the execution from the decision. So when we sit down to practice, there's no mental load. We just start the work that we've set out for ourselves. We want to make that barrier of entry to get started practicing as low as we possibly can. The second thing I do is I always have what I call a target song. This is one song that I know that I don't have the skills to play yet, but that I really want to be able to. Now, this song lets me know what's important to me. What are the things that matter most? Is it learning to do some sort of hybrid picking thing because I want to learn some country licks? Is it learning how to use more interesting notes in my blues solos because that's what I'm hearing in the song that I'm targeting? Is it what technique? Is it what style? Is it what anything, so that I know what I need to be practicing to get there? See, there's so much good music. There's so many techniques and genres and styles and ways to approach this instrument. And I've met a very few amount of players who say, I only want to be able to do XYZ, one thing, bluegrass or 80s shred, or play like Eddie Van Halen or solo over the blues. Most guitar players I talk to and that I meet want to play so much music. And being able to narrow that down to one thing that we're working on by picking one song that we're targeting right now means ultimately we get to a lot more music, right? It's like the old proverb, the man who chases 2 rabbits catches none. So if we're trying to work on our fingerstyle playing at the same time that we're trying to work on our blues soloing, odds are we're going to get to each place a lot slower and maybe never arrive. Where instead, if we put those linearly, where we go, okay, I'm going to work on blues soloing this month while I target this song, and I'm going to spend the next 2 weeks after that working on my fingerstyle playing, we're going to be able to cover a lot more ground. 3 is I actually write down everything I need to learn to play that target song. So maybe it's the chords that I need or the chord progressions that I need to play to make sure I can change between them. It could be the strumming patterns I need or the licks or the scales I need to use to improvise. I make a list of all the things that I need to know. Then I go through and I check off all the things on that list I already know. That's already in my bag of tricks. I can just pull out, if the song has a C chord, I know a C chord, we're good to go. But if not, that's telling me exactly what I need to practice. And step 4 is I pull that list out when I practice. Remember, my goal is to have no thinking when I practice. I sit down and I just start playing. So I pull out my list and I just go as far as I've checked off, and I start with the easiest thing and I move towards the hardest thing until I can play everything in that song. Now, I have one more tip for you that I think makes this all way more fun. So this is already focused. This is already going to keep us making progress, and making that progress is part of what's fun. We get to play our new and favorite songs. But before I break down my 5th and last tip, I want to invite you to join me in my free community and course at skool.com/guitar. That's skoolwithak.com/guitar, with me and over 1,500 other guitar players who are learning, having fun, making progress, all getting better at guitar together. Okay, so my last tip, I think I said the list was 4. This one is 5. I guess we'll call it a bonus. So I always save time in every practice session to just play. So if I was listening to music earlier today and there was something that I was super, super excited for, I'm going to do that at the end of my practice session. I'm saving it for dessert, kind of. I'm not going to deny myself that because it's not part of my plan. I plan to have free time in my practice. I also find that as I'm playing, whatever song that I'm working on, things come up where I'm, playing, I'm working on some solo. And I realize, oh man, I kind of want to try playing that over a chord progression. And I don't want to not chase that fun. It is called playing guitar, not working guitar. I find that if I sit down at the beginning of my practice and I say, okay, what do I want to do today? There's just too many options. There's too many things in front of me. There's no focus. I just kind of bounce around from thing to thing. And honestly, most of the time I use it as an excuse to stay away from doing the things that I find the most difficult. And then I'm in that dreaded zone of kind of just practicing what I'm already okay at or even pretty good instead of the things that I need the most work on. If instead I take the end of my practice and I save it for play, working on those hard things shows me the stuff that I really love doing, that I most want to play, or I get to use those new techniques, and I can do that. And I can also spend that time learning new songs that I'm excited about, or anything that would be fun to chase. But having that little bit of organization at the beginning of my practice time does wonders for making sure I know where I'm going, I know how long it's taking me to get there, and I can see myself making that daily progress. Now, if you need some songs to start on right now, this video has 4 fantastic songs that build a solid foundation in the fundamentals of guitar playing.